There are moments in life when your hands are empty, but your heart is full of faith. There are moments when everything around you looks dry, yet deep within your spirit you sense a stirring, a movement, a whisper, a shift. You may not see it, but you can feel it. Something is aligning in the unseen realm. Listen closely, because this is the moment when unexpected funds from God begin to locate you. This is not coincidence. This is divine timing. God is about to release a blessing that will shock you, that will surpass your understanding, that will position you for your next level. You see, when God decides to bless you, He does not consult your bank account. He does not check your job status. He does not ask people for permission. When God decides to release provision, no man, no system, no economy can block it. There is a supernatural flow of resources that belongs to the faithful. And when your heart aligns with divine purpose, heaven begins to move toward you. Some of you have been walking through a season of lack, a season where it feels like everything has been drying up. The bills are increasing, but the income is decreasing. The responsibilities are multiplying, but the resources are limited. Yet, in that same dry place, God is preparing an overflow. Because whenever the need increases, the supply of God multiplies. Whenever you are stretched, you are being positioned for supernatural provision. Do not measure your future by what you see right now. God is not limited by your wallet, your job, or your business. God is limitless. He is the source of every stream, the provider behind every provision, the architect of every miracle. When God decides to send unexpected funds, He can use anyone, any situation, any event. He can cause people you've never met to favor you. He can open doors you didn't even know existed. He can make what was once blocked suddenly flow with abundance. There is a law of divine timing that governs the flow of provision. Sometimes God delays so that you may develop trust. Other times, God withholds so that your faith can mature. But when the appointed time arrives, there is nothing that can stop the flood of blessings that has your name on it. Some of you have prayed and waited. Some of you have cried in silence, wondering if God heard you. I am here to tell you, not only did He hear you, but He is already moving. The funds you need, the opportunities you've prayed for, the breakthrough you've been waiting for, they are locating you even now. There is a realm of divine economy where God supplies needs not according to human systems, but according to His glory. This means He does not rely on earthly circulation. He operates by divine creation. God can create something out of nothing. He can make money appear from sources that did not exist before. He can shift hearts, restructure paths, and move resources to your direction. When your faith becomes the currency, God becomes your unlimited source. The reason many never experience unexpected provision is because they rely on their own calculation instead of divine revelation. You cannot calculate miracles. You can only believe for them. You cannot plan divine intervention. You must trust for it. God is not asking you to figure out how the funds will come. He is asking you to believe that they will. Because the moment you believe, heaven begins to release. Let me tell you something. Faith attracts provision. When your faith becomes unshakable, Resources are magnetized to your life. Faith opens portals in the unseen world through which God's blessings flow. That's why you must never allow your circumstances to silence your faith. Even when the account is empty, say to yourself, God will provide. Even when doors are shut, declare, God is still opening another. Even when people say it's impossible, whisper in your heart, nothing is impossible with God. You see, unexpected funds are not simply money. They are divine affirmations that God has seen your faithfulness, your sacrifice, your patience. Many of you have been faithful in little. You have done your best with what you had, even when it was not enough. You have given when you barely had anything to give. You have helped others even while you were in need yourself. And now, God is remembering you. When the time comes for divine compensation, it does not come in small portions. God never pays back what you lost. He multiplies it. God never returns what was taken. He restores it in abundance. If you lost one opportunity, God will open 7 more. If one door closed, 10 more will open. This is the nature of divine abundance. God does not bless to maintain. He blesses to expand. Sometimes the unexpected funds come in forms you don't expect. It may come through an idea that suddenly turns into profit. It may come through a delayed payment that suddenly arrives. It may come through a person who unexpectedly decides to help you. But however it comes, recognize it as divine movement. Don't call it luck. Don't call it coincidence. Call it what it is. The hand of God. Do not underestimate the power of divine orchestration. God knows how to position people, shift circumstances, and create events just to ensure your blessing reaches you. You may not see how it's going to happen, but God already has a plan. The same way He sends rain to a land that was dry, He is sending resources to your life that was once barren. The rain doesn't ask permission to fall. It simply obeys the command of God. So it is with your blessing. When the command has been released, nothing can stop the flow. There are some of you right now who feel forgotten, who feel invisible. You've been praying, working, sowing, and waiting, yet nothing seems to change. But I tell you, this silence is not absence. God's delay is not denial. The unseen hand of God is working in your favor. He is aligning the right connections, preparing the right conditions, and positioning you for a miracle that will silence your doubts. There is a divine principle before manifestation. There is always preparation. God will never release what you are not ready to manage. So while you have been waiting, He has been strengthening you. While you have been hoping, He has been teaching you how to handle abundance. Because when unexpected funds locate you, you must know how to sustain them, multiply them, and use them for purpose. You are not meant to live in financial fear. You are not designed to struggle endlessly. God created you to walk in abundance, not just for yourself, but to be a channel of blessing to others. When God blesses you financially, it is not just provision. It is assignment. He blesses you to bless others. He provides for you so that you can become a provider in your generation. You are entering a season where divine provision will become your testimony. The same place where you once cried for lack will become the place of overflow. The same hands that once had nothing will hold abundance. The same wallet that once was empty will become a vessel of generosity. God is not finished with you. He is about to show you what divine favor truly looks like. When unexpected funds locate you, remember this: gratitude multiplies provision. The more you thank God, the more heaven releases. A grateful heart is a magnet for miracles. Stop complaining about what hasn't come and start thanking God for what's on the way. Every word of gratitude creates a vibration in the spiritual realm that attracts more blessings. Gratitude is faith in action. You see, many people block their own blessings with doubt. Doubt is the thief of divine flow. It creates resistance in the channel of provision. But faith clears the pathway. So even when your eyes see lack, let your mouth speak abundance. Even when your situation looks empty, let your heart declare fullness. Because when your confession aligns with your belief, heaven responds with release. Some of you are standing on the edge of your breakthrough. The funds are already assigned to you. The only thing that remains is your readiness to receive. Be sensitive in this season. God may give you instructions that lead to provision. He may whisper an idea, guide you to a conversation, or open a door through service. Don't ignore divine signals. Sometimes the smallest instruction unlocks the largest blessing. You may not realize it yet, but the path you are walking is already filled with divine appointments. Every closed door was a redirection. Every disappointment was a setup for divine delivery. God has been orchestrating things behind the curtain, and soon you will see why everything happened the way it did. The funds that are coming are not random, they are purposeful. They are meant to fulfill something bigger than you, to fund your calling, to support your vision, to manifest divine destiny. When unexpected funds arrive, don't let fear grip your heart. Don't question whether you deserve it. Don't diminish the miracle by doubting it. Receive it with bold faith, because when God gives, He gives completely. He does not add sorrow to His blessing. He gives peace, He gives joy, He gives purpose. This is not temporary money. It is divine supply attached to divine purpose. Lift your expectation higher. Stop expecting small. Stop limiting what God can do through you. The same God who feeds nations can feed your family. The same God who multiplies oil can multiply your income. The same God who turns scarcity into abundance can turn your situation around overnight. He is not the God of just enough. He is the God of more than enough. When God decides to favor you, He does not ask permission from anyone. He does not check who approves of your blessing. He does not analyze your background, your education, or your connections. When the appointed time of divine release arrives, it will break every protocol, silence every critic, and override every system. The same people who once looked down on you will soon look up to you, not because of your strength, but because the hand of God has chosen to lift you. God is about to command a flow of resources toward your life so extraordinary that even those doubted you will have no words left but You see, divine provision is not just about money. It is about timing, alignment, and obedience. God does not release abundance where there is disobedience, because provision follows purpose. Some of you have been wondering why your breakthrough seems delayed, but God was aligning your character to handle the blessing. He was teaching you stewardship, discipline, and humility. Because what is coming is not ordinary. It is supernatural provision meant to sustain not just you, but many connected to your destiny. When God begins to send unexpected funds, you will notice that it doesn't make logical sense. Suddenly, favor begins to follow you. People start remembering you. Debts that seemed forgotten begin to be paid. Opportunities arise from unexpected places. The timing will be too perfect to explain. That's when you will know this is the move of God. Because when God moves, it is never random. It is always precise, deliberate, and purposeful. You must understand something. God's provision is often hidden behind instruction. When God is preparing to release a blessing, He will give a divine idea, a prompting, a simple step that unlocks the miraculous. Many ignore the small instructions because they seem insignificant. But those who obey them witness overflow. The difference between lack and abundance is often one act of obedience. One act of faith. One decision to trust God beyond reason. Sometimes the funds you are waiting for will come through divine connection. Someone you meet by chance. A conversation you didn't expect. An invitation you didn't plan for. But behind that connection, there is a divine orchestration. God arranges people like pieces on a chessboard. He knows who to position near you, who to remove from your path, and who to send into your life for a specific moment. You must walk with sensitivity in this season, because divine opportunities do not always come wrapped in gold. Sometimes they appear ordinary, but they carry extraordinary purpose. The realm of divine provision is spiritual before it is physical. Before the funds locate your hands, they are first released in the unseen. That is why your faith is crucial, because faith is the bridge between the unseen and the seen. When you doubt, you weaken that bridge. But when you believe, you strengthen it. The moment you align your faith with God's promise, the unseen becomes inevitable. It is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. There are seasons when God will test your heart through scarcity, not to punish you, but to refine you. Scarcity reveals trust. It exposes whether you depend on your bank account or on your source. When you learn to trust God, even in lack, you are preparing for abundance. Because God cannot trust wealth to those who forget Him when it arrives. So, if you have been in a season of testing, rejoice. Because it means your next season will be one of overflowing grace. Sometimes, God will close one stream so He can open another. You may lose a job, a business, or a contract and wonder why it happened. But often, that closing is a redirection. God knows that if you stay too long at one source, you may mistake the stream for the source. So, He will dry one flow to remind you that He alone is your provider. And once your trust is reset, He opens new channels larger than before. The same hands that once struggled will now distribute abundance. Many people pray for financial miracles, but few are prepared for divine responsibility. When unexpected funds locate you, remember that it is not just for your comfort, it is for your calling. God blesses with purpose. He gives to the generous, not the greedy. He releases resources into the hands of those who will use them to uplift, to heal, to restore, and to serve. So, prepare your heart now. Decide who you will bless when the overflow comes. Because generosity is the evidence of divine gratitude. When the funds come, stay humble. Do not boast. Do not compare. Do not forget where you came from, because pride closes the door to the divine supply. The moment you take credit for what God has done, you block future miracles. But humility keeps the river flowing. Every time you give glory to God, you strengthen your spiritual connection to abundance. Gratitude is not a reaction, it is a lifestyle. It is the rhythm that keeps divine provision in motion. God's blessings often come disguised as challenges. The very situation that looks like a setback is often the soil for your breakthrough. May think you're losing, but you're being positioned. You may think it's over, but God is still writing your story. The reason the enemy has been attacking your finances is because he senses what's coming. He knows that once God releases this provision, your impact will multiply. So do not be afraid of resistance. It is confirmation that your blessing is near. In this season, God is raising a new generation of people who will walk in financial anointing, not for luxury, but for purpose. These are people who will fund movements, build dreams, and lift others out of poverty. You are one of them. And God is preparing you to be a carrier of wealth with wisdom, prosperity with purity, and abundance with accountability. You will not just receive, you will distribute. You will not just earn, you will empower. Do not underestimate the power of prayer in unlocking provision. When you pray, you are not informing God of your need, you are aligning yourself with His abundance. Prayer releases permission for divine intervention. It activates angels, shifts atmospheres, and opens gates that were locked. Every time you pray with faith, you are creating pathways for your blessing to find you. And the more you pray with expectation, the faster those funds locate you. Sometimes God will use your enemies to bless you. The same people who mocked you will become the ones God uses to finance your next chapter. This is how divine justice works. He turns humiliation into elevation, mockery into honor, and opposition into opportunity. So don't despise your critics. They are unknowingly part of your divine plan. The key to attracting divine wealth is peace. A restless heart cannot receive from God. Anxiety creates spiritual noise that blocks divine communication. But peace creates stillness, and stillness is where instructions are heard. When your spirit is calm, you can discern the voice of God clearly. And when you follow that voice, you will never lack. There is a divine law. What you release multiplies. When you give, you do not lose. You activate increase. The more open your hand, the more God can fill it. Many people hold too tightly, and therefore they block new inflow. But those who give freely, with faith and joy, never run dry. Because the hand that gives becomes the channel through which heaven flows. If you want to live in continuous provision, become a giver. Do not worry about how big your need is. God's supply is greater. Do not calculate what you lack. Measure instead the greatness of the one who provides. The same God who feeds every creature on earth knows exactly what you need. He has already assigned your portion. You do not need to chase after what is already yours. Just align your spirit with divine timing, and what belongs to you will find its way home. When you walk with God, money becomes a servant, not a master. You are never meant to be enslaved by fear of finances. God wants you to be free, to live from a place of trust, to move from survival to stewardship. The moment you stop chasing and start trusting, resources begin to pursue you. Opportunities begin to seek you. Divine funds begin to locate you. Some of you will soon witness a financial shift so sudden that it will humble you. You will go from not knowing how to pay one bill to managing multiple streams of income. You will see God's hand in every transaction. You will see His fingerprints on every open door. People will ask how it happened, and all you will be able to say is, it was God. This is not wishful thinking. This is divine truth. God is not limited by your environment. He can bless you in a desert. He can multiply you in a drought. He can promote you in a land where others are struggling. When you are aligned with His will, you become an exception to every economic rule. Divine favor does not depend on earthly stability. It depends on spiritual alignment. Every day, speak abundance over your life. Speak as if it has already happened, because your words are seeds, and seeds create harvests. When you speak faith, you plant prosperity. When you speak fear, you plant scarcity. Choose your words carefully, because your mouth is a tool of creation. Let every declaration be a reflection of your trust in God's unlimited supply. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are not unlucky. You are chosen. You are being prepared for something greater. God's silence has not been neglect. It has been strategy. He has been arranging things for your good. And when the manifestation comes, it will not just meet your needs, it will exceed them. You will have more than enough. Enough to build, enough to give, enough to rest. In this season, position your heart with expectation. Expect divine surprises. Expect sudden favor. Expect open doors. Because God always meets you at the level of your expectation. If you expect little, you receive little. But if you expect great things, you draw great things. Expectation is the womb of manifestation. Right now, the heavens are open. God is releasing a wave of financial miracles, and your name is written on it. You have entered a divine season of favor, a time where what was once delayed will now accelerate. The waiting has not been wasted. Every prayer, every tear, every act of faith has built momentum for this very hour. And now the blessing is being released. When the blessing of God begins to flow, it does not knock softly. It floods every corner of your life. It comes suddenly, transforming dry ground into fertile land. It turns the empty jar into a vessel overflowing with provision. You may have gone through years of financial drought, but one command from God can change your story in a single moment. That is the mystery of divine timing. You can struggle for years, and then in one day, one phone call, one opportunity, one act of favor, everything changes. When God moves, delay turns into acceleration, and lack turns into abundance. Understand this. God does not just send resources. He sends reminders that He is your ultimate source. Every divine provision carries a message. I have not forgotten you. Many times, You looked at your hands and saw emptiness, but God looked at your heart and saw faith. That faith was the seed that triggered the release. God honors those who trust Him when nothing seems to make sense. That quiet confidence, that unshakable belief, that calm assurance that says, God will make a way, becomes the magnet that draws blessings from the unseen into the visible. When you live in awareness that God is your provider, you will stop chasing and start attracting. You will realize that wealth is not something you run after. It is something that is drawn toward divine alignment. The closer you move to God's purpose, the closer resources move towards you. This is the law of divine proximity. Everything you need is already connected to your purpose, waiting for the right moment to manifest. There are times when God will hide provision within pressure. What you call a problem may actually be a package of abundance waiting to be opened through faith. God never wastes hardship. He transforms it into preparation. Every delay has been sharpening your discernment. Every disappointment has been building your spiritual strength. And now that you have matured through the waiting, you are ready to handle the weight of blessing. Because the blessing of God is not light. It carries responsibility, influence, and purpose. Only those who have been humbled can carry the weight of abundance with grace. You must never measure your future by your current season. God can raise the poor from the dust and set them among the mighty. He can take the one overlooked by society and make them a vessel of wealth and wisdom. Your current situation does not define your destiny. It defines your preparation. What you are going through is not punishment, it is positioning. God is aligning you with divine flow so that when the funds arrive, they don't destroy you, they empower you. When God provides, He doesn't just meet the need, He exceeds it. His blessings overflow because He does not operate in limitation. You will soon look back at the struggles that once drained your strength and realize they were the training ground for your abundance. The same hands that once reached out in desperation will soon give in generosity. The same lips that once cried for help will speak words of encouragement to others in need. That is how God works. He transforms the broken into a blessing. If you want to attract divine provision, you must cultivate faith that is bigger than your fear. Fear whispers, "What if nothing changes?" Faith declares, "Even if I see nothing, I will still believe." God moves where faith is alive. Faith is not a theory, it is an atmosphere. When your heart is filled with faith, you create a spiritual environment where miracles become normal. The funds that are meant for you cannot miss you when your faith is active. God does not bless doubt. He blesses expectation. Expectation is faith in motion. It is believing before you see, trusting before you receive, and celebrating before it happens. That is why gratitude is so powerful. It is the sound of faith that heaven recognizes. When you thank God in advance, you open doors before they even appear. Gratitude is the spiritual key that unlocks invisible vaults of divine supply. Let me remind you, there is no situation too complicated for God to provide. He can turn the heart of a king, direct the mind of a stranger, or shift an entire system just to ensure your needs are met. You are not at the mercy of your environment. Your life is governed by divine provision. Every time you doubt, you limit the flow. But every time you believe, you release heaven's resources into your situation. When unexpected funds begin to locate you, they will not come as small miracles. They will come as undeniable evidence of divine orchestration. You will stand amazed by how perfectly everything aligns. You will wonder, how did this happen? And the only answer will be, God did it. You will see that He had already planned every connection, every favor, every open door long before you even prayed for it. Do not be surprised when people who once ignored you begin to remember you. When God wants to bless you, He puts your name in the minds of people who can help you. They will wake up thinking of you, not knowing why. They will feel compelled to assist you, not because they plan to, but because divine instruction has moved through them. God uses people as channels, but He alone remains the source. There will come a moment when everything that seemed delayed will happen all at once. Opportunities, funds, open doors, partnerships, all arriving in divine synchronization. This is not random. This is the fulfillment of God's appointed time. There is a rhythm in the spiritual world, and when your faith matches that rhythm, manifestation becomes inevitable. But hear this clearly: divine provision requires divine perspective. You must see wealth as a tool, not as a throne. God blesses those who understand purpose. The reason He will release unexpected funds into your life is not only to satisfy your needs, but to empower your mission. Your wealth is meant to serve your destiny, not dominate it. When your intention is pure, your provision becomes permanent. The greatest demonstration of trust is surrender. When you release control, God releases increase. The tighter you hold, the less you receive. But when you let go and say, God, I trust you completely, you open the floodgates. God never withholds from a surrendered heart. He pours until your cup overflows. Some of you have been carrying financial fear for too long. Fear of not having enough, fear of losing what you have, fear of failure. But fear is an illusion that blinds you from seeing how powerful your provider truly is. You must break agreement with fear. Replace it with faith, because fear repels, but faith attracts. Fear says, I can't. Faith says, God can. Fear looks at the numbers. Faith looks at the source. When you shift your gaze from lack to God, everything begins to change. Lift your spirit in faith. This is your divine moment. The funds that seemed lost are returning. The resources that were delayed are accelerating. The help you thought would never come is already on its way. This is the season where God will show Himself as your provider, your sustainer, your unfailing source. Be still, breathe, let your soul rest in assurance. The storm has passed, the drought is over, the season of divine supply has begun. Unexpected funds are not searching randomly, they are following divine coordinates that lead directly to you. God has marked you for provision, and no force in existence can stop what He has already decided to release. So walk with confidence, speak with faith, live with expectation, because the one who promised to provide has never failed, and He will not start with you. The heavens are opening, the flow is here, the time is now. Unexpected funds from God are locating you to bless you, to sustain you, and to establish you as a living testimony of His unfailing provision. There comes a moment in your life when heaven whispers directly to your heart, and that whisper carries the power to change everything. You've been striving, worrying, and waiting. You've been wondering when your breakthrough will come, when the tide will turn, when your prayers will finally touch the heart of God. But today, this is not an ordinary message. This is a divine instruction from above. God says, relax. It's all coming your way. You've been praying like a warrior, fasting with tears, believing through storms that tried to drown you. And yet, the silence of heaven made you restless. But let me tell you something, the silence of God does not mean the absence of God. Sometimes, the greatest movement of heaven happens in stillness. God is working even when you see nothing. God is arranging, aligning, and orchestrating what your human eyes cannot perceive. You are about to step into a season where what you lost will chase you down, where what you prayed for will suddenly appear, and where the blessings that seem delayed will overtake you like a flood. When God says, relax, He's not telling you to stop believing. He's commanding you to stop striving. There's a difference. Faith is not struggle, faith is surrender. The moment you release your anxiety to God, you make room for His power to move. The reason many people don't see the miracles they pray for is because they hold on too tightly to their own plan. They think if they don't control everything, everything will fall apart. But God says, relax. I'm already in control. You're not the one holding the universe together. I am. Do you know what's about to happen in your life? The very things that seemed impossible are about to bow to divine timing. That closed door that once frustrated you is about to open without effort. That opportunity that once slipped away will return in a greater form. The people who overlooked you will soon be the ones forced to recognize what God placed in you. Every tear, every prayer, every sleepless night, none of it has been wasted. God has been collecting them, shaping them, using them to build a story that will glorify His power through your life. The reason God says relax, because you have already reached the point where your human strength can do no more. You've done your part. Now let God do His. You've prayed, you've worked, you've believed, and now the divine cycle of fulfillment begins. Don't confuse divine delay with divine denial. The waiting season was not punishment, it was preparation. You are being prepared to handle what you once thought you were ready for, but couldn't yet carry. There are things that God wanted to give you earlier, but your spirit wasn't ready to receive them. If He gave them too soon, they would have crushed you. So He allowed the waiting to strengthen your faith. He allowed rejection to teach you self-worth. He allowed silence to increase your dependence on Him. You thought you were losing time, but God was investing wisdom into your soul. He was refining your character, deepening your roots, and teaching you that real peace is not found in having everything, but in trusting the one who gives everything. So when God says relax, it's not a gentle suggestion. It's a command for your destiny. It means stop worrying about who left you. Stop worrying about what didn't work out. Stop worrying about when it will happen. God is not late. Heaven has no panic, no emergency, no confusion. Everything you are praying for is already written, already prepared, already moving toward you. The things that belong to you are on their way. The people who are meant for you are being drawn toward your light. The opportunities that align with your calling are already in motion. You see, when God says, it's all coming your way, He means that the alignment of heaven is now working in your favor. Things are shifting behind the scenes. People are speaking your name in rooms you've never entered. Doors are opening in places you've never been. Situations that look dead are being resurrected. What seemed impossible last year will become normal for you this year. Because when God steps into your situation, He doesn't just change your life. He multiplies it. Some of you have been so worried about your future that you've forgotten to live in the present. You keep asking, when? And God is saying, when you rest, I will move. You're trying to push a door that only opens from the other side. God is saying, be still. I am the one opening it. Your anxiety does not move God. Your faith does. Your overthinking does not speed up His plan. Your surrender does. The moment you release your worries and say, God, I trust you, heaven begins to move faster than your fears ever could. Do not let the waiting make you doubt your worth. God delays nothing that is ready. If it hasn't come yet, it's not because He forgot you. It's because He's perfecting what He's about to give you. You may feel like life has paused, but God is in the process of setting the stage for your next chapter. He's preparing the right people, the right timing, the right opportunities. Everything you prayed for is being arranged with precision, so that when it comes, it will fit into your life without struggle. When God says, relax, He's telling you to stop carrying what He already promised to carry. You've been trying to fix what's not yours to fix. You've been trying to control outcomes that are beyond your hands. That's why you're tired, because you're carrying a weight that belongs to God. Let it go. Trust that the same God who gave you the vision will bring the provision. The same God who started the journey will complete it. The same God who opened one door will open the next. Every time you panic, remind yourself, God cannot fail. You are not at the mercy of luck or people or circumstances. You are under divine order. Nothing happens randomly when God is leading your life. Every delay is strategy. Every setback is setup. Every loss is redirection. Every rejection is protection. Stop trying to rush what God is designing with love. The timing of heaven is always right, even when it feels late on earth. Some of you have been losing sleep over bills, over relationships, over dreams that seem distant. But God says, relax. I already have a plan. If only you knew how close your breakthrough is, you wouldn't be worried. You'd be rejoicing. The problem is not that God is silent. The problem is that your worry is louder than His whisper. God is speaking peace, but you are tuned to fear. Shift your frequency. Tune your heart to faith. Start saying, it's coming. I may not see it yet, but it's on the way. When you align your words with God's promises, you activate the supernatural. Speak what God has declared. Speak abundance when you see lack. Speak peace when you feel chaos. Speak victory when you face battle. The more you speak in alignment with divine truth, the faster your reality begins to shift. Your words are not powerless. Every declaration of faith becomes a seed in the soil of time, and soon those seeds will bloom into manifestations that will leave you in all of God's precision. God is not asking you to understand everything. He's asking you to trust Him through everything. The blessing is not in the knowing, it's in the believing. You don't need to figure out how it's coming. You just need to believe that it's coming. Because when God says, it's all coming your way, He means blessings you didn't work for, favor you didn't earn, and opportunities that you couldn't create. Things are about to align so perfectly that people will ask how you did it, and you will simply say, God. Even the battles you fought were not to destroy you. They were to prepare you for what's coming. You cannot carry abundance with a weak spirit. You cannot walk into destiny with a fearful heart. That's why God allowed the pressure. He was building spiritual strength inside you. He was proving to you that you can survive storms that would break others. Now that you have learned endurance, you are ready for overflow. Relax. Not because everything is perfect, but because God is perfect. Relax. Not because the path is easy, but because you know who walks with you. Relax. Because your destiny is not in the hands of people, it's in the hands of God. Every time you let fear go, you make room for faith to grow. Every time you release control, you invite miracles to flow. And when the blessings begin to come, they won't come in small portions. They will come suddenly, overwhelmingly, abundantly. You will not have to chase them. They will chase you. You will not have to beg for them. They will find you. God has already appointed the right time, and that time is closer than you think. When God says relax, it means you are stepping out of the struggle and into divine flow. It means you have entered the realm where faith replaces fear and surrender replaces striving. God never designed you to live in panic. Worry was never meant to be your portion. Anxiety was never supposed to be your companion. God wants you to live with peace in your heart, even when there is chaos around you. He wants you to walk through storms with calm assurance that He is still in control. The same power that created the heavens is working in your situation. And if you truly believe that, you can rest without fear. You see, many people pray, but few truly rest. They pray and then worry again. They believe for a moment and then start doubting the next. But real faith is not about constantly checking whether God is moving. It's about knowing that He is, even when everything looks still. God moves quietly, powerfully, and perfectly. Just because you can't see movement doesn't mean there is no progress. When a seed is planted, nothing seems to be happening on the surface, but under the soil, life is forming, roots are spreading, and soon it breaks forth in strength. That is what God is doing in your life right now. Beneath the silence, there is movement. Beneath the waiting, there is divine growth. Relax, because what belongs to you cannot miss you. What is ordained by God cannot be stolen, delayed forever, or replaced. People may try to take credit. Circumstances may seem to shift against you. But when God has decided to bless you, no one can stand in His way. What He decrees cannot be reversed. That is why you don't need to compete, compare, or chase. You only need to align yourself with God's rhythm and let His will unfold naturally. When you trust in His timing, everything begins to work together in perfect harmony. There is a peace that comes when you realize that nothing surprises God. You didn't take a wrong turn. It was part of the plan. You didn't miss your opportunity. It's being reserved for the appointed time. Every closed door was protection. Every no was redirection. Every delay was preservation. God knew that if certain things came too early, they would have destroyed your focus. So, instead of forcing what wasn't ready, He delayed it so it could mature. And so you could mature with it. Sometimes, the greatest sign that you're close to your blessing is when everything around you begins to feel like pressure. It's like the last stage before birth. The contractions are painful, but they're also proof that something is about to be delivered. When life starts pressing you on all sides, when you feel like you can't hold on anymore, that's not the end. It's the sign that the new beginning is near. God often allows the final test right before the manifestation. So don't let the pressure break you. Let it prepare you. Relax, because God never forgets the faith of those who trust Him in silence. He remembers the nights you cried, but still prayed. He remembers the mornings you woke up weary, but kept believing. He remembers when everyone else gave up on you, but you refused to give up on Him. Those silent seasons were not wasted. They became proof of your loyalty, and God rewards loyalty. He will not allow you to end this season the same way you entered it. He is about to turn what looked like delay into divine acceleration. What would have taken years will happen in moments because you trusted His process. God is teaching you that His pace is perfection. What feels slow to you is actually divine precision. Every second of waiting is shaping you into the person who can handle what's coming. Sometimes the blessing is not delayed. The person meant to carry it is still being refined. And when the refining is complete, the blessing comes with no sorrow attached. That is why God says, relax. You don't need to rush destiny. What's yours is secure. Let me tell you something powerful. When you live in peace, you attract what you were once chasing. Peace has magnetic power. When your spirit is calm and aligned with God, opportunities begin to locate you. Doors open naturally. People are drawn to your energy without you trying to impress them. That's because divine favor flows through a rested heart. When you're anxious, you block blessings. But when you're peaceful, you invite them. God operates best in stillness, not in panic. This is why it's so important to keep your heart quiet before God. Stop letting fear make your decisions. Stop letting worry interpret your reality. You are not what your circumstances say you are. You are what God has declared you to be. Even if life seems unfair right now, remind yourself that God has the final word. People can speak against you. Situations can rise against you. But nothing can override what God has written about your life. Every time you feel pressure building, every time fear whispers that it's too late, remind yourself of this truth. You are on divine schedule. God doesn't operate according to human calendars. He doesn't panic because of deadlines. What looks late to you is perfectly on time for Him. God doesn't need time. He uses time. And when the right moment arrives, things that were stagnant for years can shift in a single day. Relax, because the same God who carried you through the wilderness will carry you into abundance. The same power that sustained you when you had nothing will multiply what you have now. God is not finished with you. The delays, the disappointments, the rejections, all of them were tools to train your spirit. You are stronger than before, wiser than before, deeper than before. And when you finally receive what's coming, you'll realize that every struggle was necessary. You see, sometimes God hides blessings in hardship. What looks like loss is often an invitation to greater gain. When God removes something, it's not subtraction, it's preparation for multiplication. Stop mourning what He has taken. It was never meant to stay. If it could be taken, it wasn't your foundation. God removes what's unstable so that He can replace it with what's unshakable. Relax, because what is ahead of you is far greater than what is behind you. The pain you endured was not punishment, it was positioning. The waiting you experienced was not delay, it was design. God has been preparing a table for you, not just to feed you, but to honor you. You will eat in peace where you once fought in tears. You will rest where you once wrestled. You will smile where you once wept. And hear this, when God starts to release what belongs to you, you won't have to force it. It will come naturally, easily, gracefully. The right people will show up without manipulation. The right opportunities will appear without chasing. You won't have to beg, prove, or explain, because what's ordained doesn't require validation. When something is meant for you, even time cannot deny it. So stop trying to figure everything out. Faith is not about understanding, it's about trusting. You may not know how, but you know who. And that is enough. God doesn't need your strategy, He needs your surrender. When you finally let go of control, you step into His rhythm of grace. You stop surviving and start flowing. You stop pushing and start allowing. That's when life becomes lighter, because you're no longer carrying what was never yours to carry. The truth is, many people are tired not because they've worked too hard, but because they've worried too much. Worry drains you more than effort ever will. Anxiety steals more energy than any battle. But when you truly trust God, peace becomes your power. You walk differently. You think differently. You speak differently. You become unshakable because your peace is rooted in something eternal, not temporary. When storms rise, you no longer panic. You remember who controls the wind. When doors close, you don't despair. You trust that new ones are being built. When people leave, you don't chase. You know that divine alignment is happening. This is what it means to relax in God. It's not laziness, it's spiritual maturity. It's the posture of a heart that knows, if God said it, it will happen. Even when the enemy tries to whisper that it's over, remind yourself that God never ends a story in defeat. Every challenge carries a hidden blessing. Every fall carries a seed of greater rise. You might not see it yet, but heaven is rearranging things in your favor. The blessing might be silent now, but it is not absent. God is faithful to complete what He began. There comes a sacred point in your journey when you must realize that rest is not weakness, it is wisdom. God does not call you to exhaustion, He calls you to alignment. You cannot receive divine guidance if your heart is full of noise. You cannot hear the voice of direction if your mind is full of worry. God speaks clearest to the heart that is still. That is why when He says, relax, it is not a suggestion, it is an invitation into intimacy. It is His way of saying, be still and know that I am God. In the quietness of trust, the greatest miracles are conceived. When you relax in faith, you are not doing nothing. You are doing the most powerful thing a believer can do. You are declaring that your confidence is not in circumstances, but in God Himself. You are saying, even if I see no signs, I will still trust. Even if everything looks broken, I will still believe. And that kind of faith shakes the heavens. It tells God that you are ready to live not by sight, but by the unshakable truth that He is faithful to every promise He has ever made. There is a reason why peace is the atmosphere of miracles. When you are anxious, you close your spirit to divine flow. When you are calm, you open the door for supernatural movement. Anxiety speaks the language of fear. Peace speaks the language of trust. And God responds to trust. You may think nothing is happening, but peace is the proof that something is shifting. The moment you stop worrying, you make space for divine orchestration. God cannot fill hands that are clenched in control. He fills the hands that are open in surrender. The reason you have not seen the fullness of your breakthrough yet is not because God has forgotten you. It's because He is perfecting your capacity to hold it. Blessings require structure. Favor requires readiness. If God gave you everything you prayed for right now, could you handle it? Could you sustain it? Could you remain humble under it? God withholds nothing good, but He waits until your foundation is strong enough to carry the weight of what He is about to release. So relax, not because you are giving up, but because you understand that divine timing is the highest form of wisdom. Think of how nature operates under divine order. The tree never worries about its growth. The river never doubts its course. Everything in creation flows effortlessly within the rhythm God established. Yet we, who are given reason and will, often resist that rhythm with our impatience. We want instant results in a world designed for process, but the same God who brings the sunrise at its appointed hour will bring your breakthrough at yours. No delay in His kingdom is ever wasted. Every waiting season has purpose. Every silent phase has instruction. And every setback contains a hidden lesson. Relax, because God is never in a hurry, yet He is never late. He moves in precision, not haste. He allows certain seasons of stillness to expose what cannot go with you into your next level. He removes relationships that drain your energy, opportunities that distract your focus, and habits that weaken your spirit. You may not understand it now, but one day you will look back and thank God for every unanswered prayer, every delay, every detour. because it was all guiding you toward the path that was meant for you from the beginning. There is divine wisdom in learning to let go. Some of you are holding on to people, plans, and places that God has already released you from. You are fighting to resurrect what God buried, and that is why your spirit is tired. You cannot move forward while holding on to what is behind you. God cannot fill your hands with new blessings while they are gripping old burdens. The moment you release what no longer serves your growth, new doors will open. Divine replacement always follows divine release. Do not confuse comfort with peace. Some things feel familiar, but are no longer fruitful. God will sometimes shake your comfort zone, not to punish you, but to position you. The discomfort you feel is often the signal that elevation is near. You prayed for growth, and God is answering through stretching. You prayed for increase, and God is answering through separation. You prayed for strength, and God is answering through challenge. Stop resisting the process. It's working for you, not against you. When God says, it's all coming your way, He's not only talking about material blessings. He's talking about restoration of peace, renewal of purpose, revival of confidence. He's talking about the inner transformation that prepares you to carry outer success with grace. Because what good is abundance if your heart is anxious? What good is success if your spirit is restless? The true blessing of God is peace that surpasses circumstances. A peace that says, even if nothing changes, I am still whole, because I know who holds my life. Relax, because God's plan is never fragile. What He has written for your life cannot be erased by mistakes, failures, or human interference. You might think you've gone too far or fallen too hard, but God is never limited by your weakness. He uses even your detours as directions. He turns even your losses into lessons. When you relax, you give God permission to turn your story into something sacred. The cracks in your life become the channels for His light to shine through. There is a power that flows from complete surrender. It's the kind of peace that says, I may not know what's next, but I trust the one who does. It's not the peace that comes from everything going right. It's the peace that remains when everything goes wrong. That peace is not fragile. It's unbreakable because it's built on the foundation of trust in God's character. Once you understand who God is, you stop fearing what might happen, because you realize that even what seems against you will eventually work for you. God never wastes pain. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every silent night, it all becomes part of a greater story. You think you're waiting on God, but often God is waiting on you to stop worrying, to stop doubting, to stop trying to control what only He can change. The moment you truly relax, the moment you fully let go, you'll feel the shift. Doors will open, peace will rise, what was stuck will move, what was broken will begin to heal. Do not mistake stillness for inactivity. God is never idle. Even when you are resting, He is working. When you sleep, He is arranging. When you're quiet, He's speaking to others on your behalf. When you release control, He takes over with precision. The unseen hand of God is always writing new chapters. You don't need to force what He is already forming. Relax and let His timing reveal its beauty. And know this, when the blessing finally comes, it will not come with confusion. The peace of God will accompany it. You won't have to chase or compete. What is meant for you will fit effortlessly. The right people will enter your life without drama. The right doors will open without resistance. The right opportunities will find you without striving. That is the signature of divine alignment. Ease, flow, and peace. Relax, because the universe is not against you. It's obeying divine command. Everything that is meant for your purpose is being drawn toward you. Every delay has an appointed day of manifestation. Every unseen effort will soon bear visible fruit. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared. God never skips preparation, because what is built fast falls fast. But what is built in patience stands forever. The waiting season is sacred. It's where faith matures. It's where trust deepens. It's where you learn that God is not just the giver of blessings. He is the blessing Himself. When you finally understand that, you stop chasing outcomes and start cherishing presence. You stop needing everything to happen now, and instead, you rest in the assurance that whatever God chooses to do, whenever He chooses to do it, it will be perfect. You may be surrounded by uncertainty, but your foundation is unshakable. You may not know what tomorrow holds, but you know who holds tomorrow. So rest, relax. The same God who painted the skies, who controls the tides, who commands the stars, is managing the details of your life with precision. Nothing is missing. Nothing is broken. Nothing is wasted. The energy you have been spending on worry, redirect it into worship. The time you've been using to complain, use it to thank. Gratitude accelerates divine movement. When you thank God in advance, you declare trust in His promise before you see its fulfillment. That kind of faith moves mountains. Gratitude turns waiting into worship and delay into destiny. When you can say, "Thank you, God," even before it comes, that's when the blessings start chasing you down. So, relax, not because everything is easy, but because everything is divine. Relax, not because you understand, but because you trust. Relax, not because life is predictable, but because God is dependable. You don't have to know how it will happen. You just need to know that it will. You don't have to see the path. You just have to walk in faith. Everything that is meant for you is coming peacefully, powerfully, and perfectly, because God Himself has decreed it. So now, take a deep breath and let peace settle in your heart. Stop fighting battles that belong to God. Stop trying to carry what His hands already hold. You have done enough, prayed enough, believed enough. Now it's time to rest in quiet confidence. God has not forgotten you, and He has not changed His mind about you. Everything you have been waiting for, working toward, and crying over is already making its way to you. The doors are about to open, the answers are about to unfold, and the blessings are about to overflow. Relax, not because life is simple, but because God is sovereign. Relax, not because you know every step, but because you trust the one who orders them. When you stop striving, you make space for miracles. When you choose peace, you become unstoppable. So, release every worry, stand in faith, and walk in calm assurance, because God says, Relax. It's all coming your way. You may be standing in a season of exhaustion. You may have smiled your way through battles that broke you inside. You may have walked through storms while pretending everything was fine. But deep down, you know you are tired. Tired of waiting, tired of hoping, tired of believing, tired of being strong when your strength has long been spent. And yet, my friend, I want you to hear this truth today. God knows. God knows you are tired. He sees the weight you carry. He feels the cry that never reaches your lips. And He understands the ache that no one else can comprehend. God knows how hard you've tried. He knows the tears you've hidden behind your prayers, the nights you've spent questioning His timing, and the mornings when you wanted to give up, but still got up, because something inside you whispered, "Don't stop now." That whisper wasn't your own strength. It was the voice of God sustaining you when you thought you had nothing left. Because when you belong to God, your breaking point becomes His starting point. You may think that the silence means God has forgotten you, but the silence is often where God does His deepest work. You may not see anything changing, but beneath the surface, He is moving mountains you cannot see. The waiting is not a punishment, it's a preparation. God doesn't delay to deny you. He delays to develop you. Every prayer you have whispered has been heard, every sigh recorded, every act of endurance noted. God knows when your soul trembles, and He knows how to restore it. There are moments in life when prayer feels like shouting into an empty room. You plead, you beg, you pour out your soul, and yet the heavens seem quiet. But hear me, when God seems silent, He is not absent. His silence is not rejection, it is protection. You are being shaped in the silence. You are being strengthened in the waiting. You are being prepared for the promise. The strength you are developing now is the foundation for the blessings you will carry later. Do not despise the slow season, because it is in the slow season that God builds unshakable faith. Anyone can trust God when life is good, but it takes divine courage to trust Him when everything is falling apart. This is the kind of faith that moves mountains. The faith that believes even when it doesn't see. God is not looking for those who only trust Him in victory. He is raising those who trust Him in silence, in confusion, in delay, in darkness. God knows you are weary. He knows the battles that don't show. But God also knows how to renew strength. When your body is weak, He renews your spirit. When your heart is faint, He infuses your soul with endurance that cannot be explained by human means. There is a supernatural strength that comes only when you pray instead of panic, when you trust instead of complain, when you wait instead of run ahead. Waiting is not wasting. Waiting is the womb of greatness. Every seed must remain hidden before it grows. You are not being buried. You are being planted. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared for a harvest that will silence every doubt. God is never in a hurry, but He is never late. He is working in divine timing, and that timing is always perfect. When you look around and see others advancing, others receiving, others celebrating, and you remain in the waiting, do not compare. God's plan for you is not delayed, it is being perfected. Comparison breeds discouragement, but trust breeds peace. God is not finished with you. He is writing a story that will reveal His glory through your endurance. Sometimes God lets you walk through the fire not to burn you, but to prove that you cannot be consumed. Sometimes He lets you reach the edge of your strength to show that His strength is limitless. Sometimes He allows your plans to crumble so that His plan can stand unshaken. Trust what He removes as much as you trust what He gives. The things that leave your life are often the things that could have destroyed you had they stayed. When your heart says, I can't take any more, God says, you don't have to, I will carry you. When your mind says, it's over, God whispers, this is only the middle. When your faith feels small, God reminds you that He can work with a whisper, a breath, a tear, a sigh. You don't need to have it all together. You just need to remain open. God does not need perfection from you. He needs surrender. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means giving it over. It means you stop trying to control the outcome and start trusting the process. When you surrender, you stop asking, why? And start saying, I trust you. You stop fighting the storm and start learning how to rest in it. Because when you trust God, peace becomes your weapon. Waiting becomes your worship. Prayer becomes your power. Unconsciously, God knows how long you've been fighting that unseen battle. The weariness you feel is not a sign of failure. It's a sign that you've been faithful. The fact that you are still standing, still praying, still believing after everything you faced means you are stronger than you realize. And God is not blind to your perseverance. He is storing every tear, counting every effort, and preparing a reward that will overflow. Sometimes God waits to act not because He hasn't heard you, but because He wants to show you what He can do when human strength runs out, when your back is against the wall and every door is closed. That is when God reveals doors you didn't know existed. When the situation looks hopeless, that is when He demonstrates that hope doesn't come from circumstances. It comes from Him. Your tiredness is not the end of the story. It is the turning point. The moment you feel you cannot take another step is often the moment God steps in. When your faith is hanging by a thread, His mercy holds the thread. God is closer to you in your exhaustion than He was in your excitement. He draws near to the brokenhearted, and He gives rest to those who wait upon Him. Maybe you prayed and nothing happened. Maybe you believed and still lost something precious. Maybe you waited and nothing came. But listen, just because you haven't seen it, yet doesn't mean it isn't coming. The waiting period is not God's way of saying no. It's His way of saying not yet. He's aligning pieces you can't see, orchestrating people and places you haven't met, and positioning you for a breakthrough that will make sense of every delay. Trusting God doesn't mean understanding everything. It means believing even when it makes no sense. Faith is not knowing the details. It's knowing that God holds the details. And sometimes what you call delay, God calls direction. What you call rejection, God calls redirection. What you call loss, God calls preparation for something greater. Don't let your weariness steal your worship. When you are tired, pray. When you are confused, wait. When you are discouraged, trust. Because the very act of trusting in your tiredness is a declaration of faith that moves mountains. It says, God, even when I don't feel you, I know you're here. Even when I don't see the way, I know you've made one. There is power in persistence. There is strength in surrender. There is glory in waiting. God is teaching you patience not to punish you, but to perfect you. If everything came easily, your faith would remain shallow. But in the struggle, your roots grow deep. In the waiting, your trust becomes unbreakable. In the silence, you learn that His presence is not limited to answered prayer. It's in every breath, every step, every tear. Maybe your season feels endless. You've been praying for years, hoping for change, watching others receive while you remain in the shadows. But know this, God hides those He intends to elevate. Before the light shines on you, He works in the dark to strengthen your character, to purify your motives, and to prepare your heart. When your time comes, no one can stop what He has prepared. When you trust God in your tiredness, you are demonstrating faith that heaven celebrates. The angels see your endurance. The universe takes note of your surrender. Every time you pray, despite your pain, you are declaring that your hope is greater than your hardship. You are saying, I may be tired, but I am not done. I may be weary, but I still believe. God sees you exactly where you are. He knows the nights you've cried yourself to sleep, the mornings you've faced the world with a forced smile, the prayers that came out as whispers. He has not abandoned you. He has been beside you in every step, collecting every tear, whispering courage into your soul. Even when you felt nothing, He was holding you. Sometimes God removes what drains you to remind you that joy doesn't depend on people or outcomes, but on Him alone. He allows certain doors to close because He's protecting your peace. He lets some relationships fade because He's making room for new strength. You think He's taking from you, but He's actually pruning you for fruitfulness. Every no from God is wrapped in love. You may be tired, but you are not forgotten. You may be weak, but you are not worthless. God has a purpose for your pain, a reason for your waiting, and a reward for your faith. The same God who held you through the storm will raise you after it. The same God who saw you cry will make you smile again. The same God who watched you struggle will lift you into strength. Pray even when it's hard to believe. Pray even when you have no words left. Prayer is not just asking, it's breathing with God. It's the moment your weakness meets His power, your confusion meets His wisdom, and your exhaustion meets His peace. You don't need perfect words, you need an honest heart. God understands sighs better than speeches. When you wait, do it with expectation. Waiting is not sitting still. It's standing in faith. It's saying, I don't see it yet, but I know it's coming. It's trusting that what God has prepared will find its way to you. Waiting with faith transforms despair into strength. Because when you wait on God, you are not wasting time. You are aligning with divine timing. Trust is not a feeling, it's a decision. It's choosing to rest even when you don't see results. It's saying, God, I trust you more than I trust my emotions. Your emotions may scream that nothing is changing, but your faith knows that everything is being arranged. Trust opens the door for peace to enter where panic once ruled. Every person who has walked in divine purpose has walked through seasons of tiredness. Every soul that has seen God's promise fulfilled has also endured seasons of silence. You are not alone in your struggle. Even the strongest have felt weak. But those who refused to quit, those who kept praying, those who waited with faith, they saw what others could not. They touched the reward of endurance. God knows you are tired, but He also knows you are closer than you think. You've come too far to turn back now. The pain you've endured is not wasted. It's the price of transformation. The strength you've built in this waiting season will sustain you in the next one. What feels like delay is actually divine acceleration happening beneath the surface. Rest does not mean quitting. Rest means trusting. It means allowing God to carry what you cannot. The world tells you to hustle harder. God tells you to rest deeper. Because true strength is not found in constant movement. It's found in quiet confidence. When you rest in God, you are declaring that you believe His plan more than your pressure. The fire doesn't destroy gold. It refines it. It burns away the impurities that were never meant to remain, and what comes out shines brighter than ever before. The same is true for your soul. The heat of your trial is not to harm you. It is to reveal the strength and beauty that God placed within you from the beginning. You are being refined, not rejected. Every test, every delay, every disappointment is molding you into the person capable of carrying the destiny that God has prepared. And sometimes the weariness you feel is not physical, it's spiritual. You're not just tired in your body, you're tired in your faith. You've been believing for so long that hope itself feels heavy. But God says, rest in me. Rest is not found in escape. Rest is found in trust. When you learn to rest in the arms of God, your spirit begins to breathe again. You stop fighting battles that were never yours to fight. You stop chasing what was meant to come to you by divine timing. You learn to walk with quiet confidence, knowing that what God has written for you cannot be erased by any human hand. It takes deep faith to keep praying when nothing changes. It takes real strength to remain peaceful when the waiting stretches longer than you imagined. But hear this truth: God never wastes your waiting. In your waiting, He is maturing your vision. In your waiting, He is teaching you that peace doesn't come when everything works out. Peace comes when you finally surrender everything into His hands. You don't need to know when. It's enough to know who. You don't need to understand how. It's enough to trust that God already does. God has seen the end from the beginning. What confuses you today is already clear in His sight. What looks delayed in your timeline is perfectly on schedule in His. You may feel like you are walking through fog, unable to see even the next step, but God is not asking you to see. He's asking you to believe. Because when you trust Him in the fog, He will lead you into clarity. When you trust Him in uncertainty, He will guide you into peace that surpasses understanding. Many lose faith because they expect God to move according to their calendar. But God's timing doesn't operate on human clocks. You cannot rush what He is building. You cannot demand what He is still preparing. God takes His time because what He creates lasts forever. He doesn't give you fragile blessings that fade. He gives you divine foundations that stand. Every delay is shaping your capacity to handle the blessing when it arrives. And here, this waiting on God is not a passive act. It's the highest demonstration of faith. Anyone can run ahead. Anyone can try to fix things on their own. But it takes divine discipline to stay still when everything in you wants to move. Waiting is not weakness, it's worship. It's saying, God, I trust you enough to stop striving. The world glorifies speed, but God honors patience. The world says, do more, but God whispers, be still. Because in stillness, you begin to hear His voice clearer. You see, when you rush, you miss revelation. When you wait, you gain wisdom. The waiting season opens your spiritual eyes to see beyond appearances. It teaches you that blessings received too early can destroy you, but blessings received in divine timing will sustain you. So if God has not yet released what you've prayed for, it means He's still preparing you to handle it with wisdom, humility, and endurance. And yes, sometimes it will hurt. There will be nights when you wonder why God hasn't answered yet. There will be days when your patience feels like punishment. But remember, God is not delaying to frustrate you. He's delaying to fortify you. He's teaching you to depend on His voice instead of outcomes. Because when your faith is built on results, it will crumble when things don't go your way. But when your faith is built on trust, it will remain unshaken through every season. Even now, as you listen, God is working in places you cannot see. He is preparing opportunities behind closed doors, shifting hearts in your favor, aligning divine connections. What feels like stillness on your side is strategy on His side. You may not see movement, but in the spiritual realm, there is activity. Every prayer releases energy. Every act of faith moves mountains, unseen by the natural eye. Do not let the exhaustion of waiting cause you to settle for less than what God promised. The enemy would love to convince you that the delay means denial, that the silence means abandonment, but it is not so. When you stop believing, you stop receiving. When you lose trust, you lose the connection through which God's blessings flow. You must guard your faith the way you guard your breath. Because faith is not just what pleases God. It is what sustains you in the wilderness. You may be walking through dry land now, but remember, deserts precede promised lands. Every chosen soul has walked through a wilderness. It's the place where you learn that God alone is enough. It's the place where you are stripped of dependence on others, where your strength ends and His begins. And when you emerge from that place, you come out different, stronger, wiser, unshakable. Because you no longer trust what you see, you trust the unseen hand that guides you. Sometimes God allows tiredness not to punish you, but to remind you that you are human, and He is God. He lets you reach the end of yourself so that you may discover the beginning of His strength. You will never know the fullness of His power until you admit the emptiness of your own. The moment you surrender control, the moment you whisper, God, I can, but I know you can. That is when divine strength fills your soul. There is a kind of rest that no sleep can give. It is the rest of trust. The stillness that comes when you stop worrying about outcomes and start believing that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. When you live in this rest, fear loses its grip. You stop chasing explanations and start walking in peace. You learn that trusting God is not about escaping uncertainty. It's about resting in it, knowing that you are never alone in your waiting. Look at your life. Every disappointment you faced, every delay you've endured, every tear you've cried, they were not wasted. They were tools. God uses pain to polish purpose. He uses confusion to cultivate clarity. He uses silence to sharpen your discernment. Nothing you have gone through is meaningless. Everything has been part of a divine design to shape your spirit for what is ahead. And yes, sometimes God will allow you to lose something you wanted so that He can give you something you needed. He will close a door that you begged Him to open because behind it was something that would have drained you. You thought that delay was cruelty, but it was mercy in disguise. You thought that rejection was punishment, but it was redirection towards something better. God sees what you cannot see. That is why He asks for your trust more than your understanding. When you pray, do not rush to speak. Pause and listen. The power of prayer is not only in your words, but in your awareness of His presence. Prayer is the language of trust. It is the moment when your worries meet divine wisdom. It is where your confusion dissolves into peace. The more you pray, the more you shift from panic to purpose, from fear to faith. Prayer does not always change your situation immediately, but it always changes you. As you wait, keep your spirit anchored. Don't allow your emotions to dictate your faith. Feelings change, but God's plan does not. You may feel forgotten, but you are engraved in divine memory. You may feel delayed, but you are right on time, according to the rhythm of heaven. Your journey is not about speed, it's about surrender. God is not measuring how fast you move. He's measuring how deeply you trust. There will come a day when you will look back and realize that the waiting was not wasted time. It was sacred time. You will thank God for the nights you cried, for the moments you almost gave up, because those were the moments that built your character, forged your faith, and proved His presence. You will understand why the door stayed closed, why the path seemed long, why the answer came later than expected. You will see that the delay was part of the design, and the design was always perfect. There are moments when life feels like a long night that refuses to end. You look around and see no light, no sign, no shift. Everything seems still, and your heart wonders, where is God in all this? But listen carefully. God does some of His greatest work in the dark. The night is not proof of His absence. It is the backdrop for His revelation. Before every dawn, there is deep silence. Before every miracle, there is hidden preparation. God moves quietly before He moves publicly. The very stillness you fear is the signal that something divine is forming beneath the surface of your life. God often hides His hand to strengthen your heart. He does not always reveal the plan because He wants to grow your faith, not your comfort. Faith that depends on sight is fragile. Faith that trusts in silence is unbreakable. And so, when you cannot see the way forward, do not panic. Worship instead. When you cannot understand the timing, do not complain. Rest instead. Worship and rest are acts of faith that speak louder than any words. They declare, God, even when I don't see what you're doing, I still trust that you're doing something. Every soul that has walked with God has known this season. The prophets, the leaders, the chosen, each one endured moments when their strength failed, but their faith carried them. God does not remove your weakness, He redeems it. He allows you to reach the end of your strength so that you may discover His. He lets your plans collapse so that His purpose can rise. This is not punishment, it is purification. God refines you until your faith depends on nothing and no one but Him. When you say, I'm tired, God says, I know. When you whisper, I can't keep going, God says, I never asked you to go alone. Your journey was never meant to be carried by your strength alone. God walks beside you even when your steps are shaky. You may not feel His presence, but He surrounds you. He is the quiet assurance in your uncertainty, the gentle strength behind your endurance, the unseen power that keeps your heart beating through the storm. The truth is, sometimes God allows tiredness because it makes you honest. Honest. When you are weary, the mask falls off. You stop pretending to be strong. You stop striving to prove your worth. You fall to your knees and say, God, I need you. And that moment of surrender, pure, raw, unguarded, is where transformation begins. God doesn't meet you in your perfection. He meets you in your authenticity. The most powerful prayers are not the polished ones. They are the broken ones, whispered through tears. You may feel forgotten, but God never forgets. You may feel delayed, but God never delays without reason. He knows exactly what He is doing. Sometimes God keeps you waiting because He is protecting you from what you cannot yet handle. Sometimes He delays because He is rearranging things in your favor. Sometimes He holds back because what you think you want is smaller than what He intends to give. You are asking for survival. He is preparing abundance. You are asking for escape. He is preparing elevation. And so, when you pray, understand that God's not yet is still an answer. His silence is not neglect, it is strategy. Every unanswered prayer is being shaped into something greater behind the scenes. You may not understand it now, but one day you will look back and say, if God had answered me then, I would have missed what He was really preparing. Patience is not weakness, it is power. It is the ability to wait without losing faith. Every storm has a purpose. God does not allow chaos without reason. The storm you face today is cleansing your path for tomorrow. The pain that keeps you awake tonight is preparing your heart for a new level of peace. The closed door is not rejection, it is redirection. When God says no, it's because He's leading you toward a better wise. When He removes people, it's because He's making space for destiny. Trust that every divine removal is a form of mercy, even when it hurts. You see, God's wisdom is beyond the limits of your understanding. You see fragments, He sees the whole. You see today, He sees eternity. That is why trust is so essential. You cannot walk with God and demand full explanation. You walk by faith, not by certainty. You walk with peace, not with proof. Faith means standing in the middle of the unknown and saying, I still believe. Faith means holding on to God when every reason tells you to let go. There are blessings that can only come through endurance. Quick victories do not produce lasting strength. When you wait faithfully, you build spiritual muscle. You learn how to be still without being stagnant. You learn how to walk in patience without losing purpose. This is not wasted time. It's divine training. You are being prepared to handle what you prayed for. You are being strengthened to carry what others could not. And yes, there will be moments when you cry, when you doubt, when you question. That's okay. God is not angry with your honesty. He invites your questions because they are the doorway to deeper faith. The act of bringing your pain before Him is itself a form of trust. It says, I don't understand, but I still come to you. Those tears that you think are weakness are actually worship in its purest form. When you feel empty, that's when God can fill you. When you feel lost, that's when He can guide you. When you feel powerless, that's when His strength becomes visible. The emptiness you fear is sacred. It's the space where God writes new beginnings. Don't rush to fill the silence with noise. Let the silence teach you. Let it remind you that your worth is not in your progress, but in your presence with God. So, pray not just for results, but for revelation. Pray not only for blessings, but for wisdom to handle them. Pray not only for open doors, but for discernment to recognize which doors lead to peace and which lead to distraction. Prayer is the posture of surrender, and surrender attracts divine alignment. When your will aligns with God's will, everything begins to fall into place without striving. As you wait, be careful not to curse the process. The same soil that buries a seed also grows it. What feels like the end is often the beginning in disguise. You are not buried, you are being planted. And when the season shifts, when the rain falls, and when the light returns, you will rise stronger and more radiant than ever before. God is not finished with you, He is forming you. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment is shaping your destiny. Trust that nothing in your life is random. The steps may seem confusing, but each one is necessary. Every waiting season carries within it the promise of new strength. And when the time comes, you will realize that it was worth it. That every moment of tiredness, every prayer through tears, every night of uncertainty was preparing you for something you couldn't have imagined. You may be tired, but you are also chosen. You may be weary, but you are still being watched over by God Himself. You may be uncertain, but you are never alone. The one who created the stars also guides your path. One who holds the oceans in balance also holds your heart. The same God who spoke light into darkness is speaking life into your situation right now. So don't let weariness define you. Let it refine you. Don't let delay break you. Let it build you. Don't let the silence discourage you. Let it strengthen you. God is not late. He is preparing a miracle that will arrive at the perfect time. And when it does, you will see why He made you wait, why He asked you to trust, why He told you to keep praying. You will see that the tiredness was temporary, but the transformation was eternal. You will see that what you called waiting was really awakening. You will see that every unanswered prayer was answered in a higher way. You will see that God never left you for a moment. He was with you in every breath, in every tear, in every pause. And when you look back, you will say, "Now I understand." You will thank Him for the waiting. You will thank Him for the silence. You will thank Him for not giving you what you wanted when you wanted it. Because now you will see that He gave you something far greater. His peace, His timing, and His wisdom. So lift your head, even in your weariness. You are not forgotten. You are being held by God's unshakable hand. The season of tiredness will pass, but the strength gained through trust will stay forever. Keep praying. Keep waiting. Keep trusting. God knows you are tired, but He is not done with you yet.